Hello everyone. Today I'm very excited to start work on a new book project, a collection of my short stories. I'm going to start the process of compiling stories and deciding how to organize them. I also recently went to the flea market, so I have a couple of new things to share, and then it's time to make some progress on my granny square blanket. The landscape is a medley of yellow and browns, of straw and bark, dust and seeds. The earth is hard and dry. It's been several months since the last drop of rain. There's a sound of slight crackling as the dry grasses move slightly in the breeze. If you stand still and listen, you can hear the rustle of the wind, the buzz of the bees, and the unrelenting tune of the crickets. The land is waiting for the autumn, for the clouds to come and for the rain to fall. Then the new grasses will grow once more. This book of short stories will include many of the Meadow Afternoon stories I have written over the last 5 or 6 years. If you're new, Meadow Afternoon is the name of my historical fiction universe, a world of intertwining characters, settings, and stories. I post many of my short stories over on the Meadow Afternoon YouTube channel, and everything will be linked in the description box below if you want to check it out. This book will, hopefully, be volume 1 of Meadow Afternoon short stories. Let's begin. So the first thing that I want to do today is to write down all the stories that I already have onto these index cards, and then arrange them all on a pinboard so that I have a visual representation of the book so far. I have a folder here on the computer that has all the short stories. I'm just going to go through that folder and start writing them down. On each index card, I'm going to write down the name of the story. I'm also going to write down the word count. That way I can add up the word count so I can see how long the manuscript is at the moment. The last thing I'm going to add to these cards is the rough date that each story is set in. So this short story is called Story Time. It's 1032 words and it's a prehistoric story, so I've just written prehistory. Another one that I definitely want to put in is The Feast, and many of these stories have been released in video form on the Meadow Afternoon YouTube channel. The Feast is 2,249 words and it's set in 1903. Having the stories on the index cards means I can also move the stories around and think about how I want to organize them within the book itself. I have a few stories here in the folder that are very short. This one, for example, is The Pot Holder. It's only 331 words, and that will probably be one and a half pages maybe in the finished book. So this one is a very, very short little story. And this one doesn't really have a particular date, so I've just put a little line. It can fit in wherever I want. By putting the word counts on the stories, I can also try to balance them out, so I can have a long one, and then a short one, so I don't end up with all the very, very, very short ones all bunched together. Right, so I've currently run into a slight problem. Luckily, it is a problem that does have a solution. So I have a story here called Coronation Day. It's set in 1953, and it's definitely one I want to include in the book. I made a video on it several years ago on the Meadow Afternoon YouTube channel. I have the video file for it. I have the audio file for the recording of the story, but I do not have the Word document. I have no idea where this Word document is. It's not in the short story folder. It's nowhere that I can find on the computer. I don't know whether I changed the name of it at some point. I have no idea where this Word document has gone. My solution is to retype the story using the audio file as a reference. So I will listen to the audio and I will retype as I listen. Okay, so that's all of the stories that I have written out, and the current count is 25 short stories. And the current word count is 33,939 words. I do want to get to a minimum of 40,000 words, and I also want to have 5 short stories that are exclusive to the book. As I mentioned, many of these stories have previously been published on Meadow Afternoon, so I want to have 5 stories that are only to be found in this book. I also have a couple of stories in the folder here that are in the maybe pile. Kathy's Bag is one. I have another one here that I've never published anywhere, and this one is called Midsummer, Desert and Daisies. That is a title that will probably change if it goes in the book. I have a couple of stories, most of them very small, that I've already put into the no pile, and that's because either I don't particularly like them or they don't fit in well with the other stories in the book. The other thing that I haven't included in this pile of 25 short stories are any of the Little Thatch Bridge short stories. The reason I've done that is that I'm saving those for a Little Thatch Bridge only volume of short stories. So I've just set all of those aside, and at some point when I have enough of them, I will do a Little Thatch Bridge only collection. So I've been thinking a little bit about how to organize the stories in the book, and I think what I'll do is to organize them all chronologically. So the toasting fork, where shall I put that in the book? Right, this one can go here, and then there's a jump here to 1986, and then dominoes here, that's a modern era. So this is now the layout of the book so far. So my next task for today is to print out a few of the stories that I want to reread and potentially do some editing too. I have a couple in mind that I want to have another read through, and I need to retype the Coronation Day story. And then once I've retyped up Coronation Day, I'll add that to the manuscript, and then that way the manuscript has all of these stories that are on the board in it.
Degrees and sunny, just the way I always wanted. 돌아갈 것도 없어, 지금 이대로면 좋아. 따스한 The bluebirds peacefully sing along that I love you. Oh, 그대여 나와의 거리를 걸어요. Paris with you. 난 그저 잔디밭에 누워 있어도 좋아요. 반짝이는 저기 Eiffel Tower shines from anywhere 아름다워. When I'm not with you, all these shiny seas don't mean a thing. 눈동자에 비친 Avenue des Champs-Élysées 그대와 같이 romantic해요. I love you. Oh, 그대여 나와의 거리를 걸어요. Paris with you. 난 그저 잔디밭에 누워 있어도 좋아요. 그대여 나와의 거리를 걸어요. Paris with you. 난 그저 그대 곁에 머문다면 좋아요.
While the muffins bake, I want to share a few recent finds from the flea market. On a Sunday morning, it's one of my favourite places to go. I love wandering through the rows, taking in the jumble of toys and plates, tools and books, and all the things. It's mostly blankets laid out on the floor and random collections of items placed on top. Some people bring a makeshift table, some organise their wares, while others just scatter them across the floor. I love the hunt for interesting items, never knowing quite what I will find. I usually come home with one or two small things. I have a few categories of items that I look out for, and others just catch my eye in the moment. The first item from my haul today was this Polish coffee pot. I loved the flower design, and even though I don't drink coffee, I thought I could use it for tea or for making a pot of coffee for guests. It was €4, so I felt that that was a really good price. It has the maker's stamp on the base, and it is in perfect condition, no chips or cracks. It feels heavy duty and good quality. I saw this pot on my way out of the market, on the very last stall I passed. The owner was packing up, and I was passing at just the right time before she put it away. The next item was this embroidery hoop frame and stand. This, I think, was handmade by someone. It feels quite rustic, and the wood is not massively high quality, but it was €2, and I don't have a hoop frame, so I thought it was a useful thing to pick up. It's something I've had on my list for a while, so I will probably get lots of use out of it. I think I will also probably wrap some fabric around the hoop before I use it, and I can even paint the wood if I want to. I think this will be a useful addition to my sewing supplies. These next three items are one of the things I always look out for at flea markets, and I pretty much always find something. These are English pottery pieces. I picked up this small dessert bowl. It has a red print of a little village scene. I have a few of these dessert bowls already and I particularly like the shape of them. They're a good size for desserts or for little snacks, and also for food prep, for laying out ingredients for baking or for things like that. They're just a really useful small little bowl. Next, in the English pottery collection, I added these two small side plates. I don't have any of this particular design, and I really loved these. The leaves and the flower border are beautiful. I loved the overall colour of the plates, and the design featured a lake, a boat, and a country house scene. All the plates are in good condition, all are usable. I buy these to use, so I tend to avoid any that have chips or large cracks. Some discolouring is often to be expected, and I don't mind the signs of age, but I do buy these plates and bowls to use, so I do want them to be usable. Price-wise, I think that these were all €1 or €2 each. These are the style of porcelain I usually keep an eye out for, and I have somewhat started collecting a little bit at a time. If there is English pottery in the flea market, I normally find it, or more likely, it always finds me. The last item for today was this little milk jug. This was something I needed and I liked the design. It was €2 and I think this one was from an Italian company. I just think it's elegant and quite timeless, and it fits in with all my other pieces. So that was my little flea market haul for today. I generally pick up things I want to use in the house, things that I need, and I do enjoy collecting and using my plates. Do you go to the flea market or thrift shops often? What are some of the things that you enjoy picking up? Leave a comment down below, and if you're enjoying this video so far, please give the video a like and subscribe so you don't miss new uploads.
To see from the moment we arrived. Cornelia, you are one who will survive. When time's been bad, you put smiles on everyone. Of you and of all I should have done. You told me the thing would shape or form that you're in, the place you're from, the wealth or the color of your skin, and all you have burns to the sky. It's all terrain. You wonder why.
So I've just finished typing up the short story that was missing from the 25 short stories that were in the yes to go in the book pile. So I have here Coronation Day. I retyped it from the audio file. I did end up doing a little tiny bit of editing to it as I was typing. I just saw a few things that I wanted to add. But here is the story, and that can now go in the finished pile. I've also printed out a few of the other stories. These are a few that I particularly wanted to read. So I have Midnight Roses here, Bluebells, a Paper Patch, and Story Time. And then I have two of the very short single page stories. I have Ezekiel and The Potholder. So I will give those a read and hopefully an edit. So I think that's about all that I'm going to do today on the short story book project. It's really motivating to see the book all laid out on my pinboard and to see how close I am to finishing the manuscript. It's also really cool to see how many short stories I've written over the last few years. So I think the next thing that I'm going to do for this project is to brainstorm the last 5 stories for the book. This Granny Square blanket project has been my companion for a while. Throughout the different seasons, I have picked up and put down this project, working on it a little at a time. I don't remember exactly when I started. I think it's been nearly 2 years. So far, I have completed 60 granny squares. I am using an African flower pattern that I learned how to make from watching a couple of different YouTube videos, and I'm using this inexpensive cotton yarn. I shall probably want to get to around 80 or 100 squares in total in order to make the blanket big enough to go over a double bed. I was not quite sure when I started this project if I wanted to make a blanket that was for the sofa or one that was big enough to go on the bed like a quilt. At the moment, I'm making it large enough to be a quilt. Over the last few months, I have bought the yarn a few balls at a time, and as a result, there are a few colour variations between the different dye batches, particularly with the light beige colour. But I've found that when all the squares are laid out and put together, the slight changes in colour are really not that noticeable. I have really enjoyed having this project to work on. It's my relaxing project, something I don't need to think about, as I'm simply following the same pattern over and over again. That said, I am also looking forward to finishing the blanket soon. I already have a couple of ideas for what my next long-term relaxing project could be. In the meantime, I will continue to crochet, stitch by stitch, adding more granny squares to my basket as the afternoon lingers on outside.
I wanna jump around when I think about yesterday. Your smile, your style so fly, my oh my. As time stood still, I got the urge to steal a kiss, and so I did. Now I'm embarrassed, but just a little bit. Oh, there must be gold on those lips and honey on those fingertips. Can you
Thank you for watching today. If you enjoyed this video, you can find another one linked in the cards. If you're new, welcome. My name is Maisie, and on this channel I share the behind the scenes of writing my stories, as well as a bit of crafting, cooking and simple living. If you'd like to see more of my work, you can find a link to my website below, and feel free to say hello in the comments. Until next time.